The Law and Justice Parliamentary Club aims to remove Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz, the Minister of Culture and National Heritage, from his position due to his involvement in attempting to take over state media by force and violating numerous laws. The club has submitted a motion of no confidence in the same against Mr. Sienkiewicz, citing his unconstitutional deprivation of the right to information and other legal violations. Furthermore, as per party leader Jarosław Kaczyński, dismissing supervisory staff of public media through a simple resolution of the same is a criminal act. Since this morning we have been in the headquarters of the Polish press agency, which together with Polskie Radio and Telewizja Polska had been attacked several dozen hours earlier. Their chiefs were illegally replaced, and then so-called strong people who wanted to take over came in. Yesterday 3 people came here and said they had firearms and wanted to take over the Polish press agency. They failed thanks to the intervention of Law and Justice MPs. The man who introduced himself as the new president of the company also left the building. Wojciech Surmacz, the legal president of Polska Agencja Prasowa, is there staying in his office on the 6th floor. He announced that he was not going anywhere. Unlike Polish television or Polish radio, the Polish press agency as a state enterprise is governed by an act of the same. This law regulates the dismissal and appointment of the management board and stipulates that the National Media Council has this right. Law and Justice leader Jarosław Kaczyński and former Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki were also present. Politicians from the opposition Law and Justice Party have been resisting attempts to illegally take over public media since Tuesday. Yesterday, Jarosław Kaczyński said, "We have here the issue of political responsibility, and that should apply. But at the same time, the law has been broken, and there is a risk of criminal liability. Those responsible should be brought to justice." Former Deputy Prime Minister Mariusz Błaszczak announced that Culture Minister Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz was responsible for the breach of law in recent days. We accuse Colonel Sienkiewicz for breaking the law by illegally taking over public media. There is a lawyer in the PAP building who introduces himself as a member of the new board. There is no such board, but Minister Sienkiewicz appoints its members. Journalists asked this individual who he was, what he was doing here, what was the legal basis for his actions, and who were the men who came to take over the company the day before. Who were those strong people who came here last night? I don't know. Who are you talking about? Did you see the news last night? I don't know. Who are they? I've already explained. I won't give you an interview. Are you a representative of the new authorities and you don't know who was there yesterday? I have no idea. According to the media, politicians from the civic platform are calling journalists from the commercial media and offering them jobs at Telewizja Polska at rates several times higher than the market rate. Many journalists are not called by Tomasz Sygut or Grzegorz Moskalewicz. They are not called by Grzegorz Sajur, but by politicians, offering them huge salaries to join the state television and create so-called free media. Well, when a politician calls a journalist, red flags should go up. A disturbing recording appeared on the internet showing a TVP journalist whose entry card was not blocked by the new authorities, remaining loyal to the legal authorities and recording the new crew, which did not please his boss, Paweł Płuska. I was told by Mr. Płuska, who is in charge of this news program, that I'm not a TVP employee. I am surprised that this man decides who is allowed to stay on TV premises and who is not. The National Broadcasting Council appealed to the courts not to change the rules of the composition of the authorities of the media under attack. The Helsinki Foundation for Human Rights also spoke out against the violation of Polish and European law by the new state authorities. Poland may be required to admit illegal migrants or pay the European Union over €20,000 per person, according to the recently agreed migration pact between the European Parliament and the European Commission. The Polish government has taken a dubious position. On one hand, it reassures that it is against the motion, but on the other hand, it is not protesting this legislation. We still have to wait for the Foreign Ministry to comment on the EU Migration Pact. There will be a statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs on this matter. I think the Minister of Internal Affairs will be the first to speak on it. The European Parliament and the European Commission have reached an agreement on the so-called Migration Pact. It is true that the government asserts that the EU borders must be secured and that Poland expects solidarity from the entire EU regarding Poland's eastern border. But if the changes come to force, member states will have to choose between accepting refugees or paying a significant fine to the EU budget. EU countries, the European Commission and the European Parliament reached an agreement on the common European asylum system on Wednesday, after long negotiations.
This system will create a seamless procedure at our external borders, which will ensure that people are quickly channeled to and through the right procedures at all times.
Negotiations have been going since 2015. So far, countries such as Poland have blocked unfavorable regulations that envisage the forced relocation of illegal migrants. Now that the government of Poland has changed, an agreement has been reached in the EU. Interestingly, on the same day, the public television news channel in Poland was switched off. What does the government have to hide that it's doing this? The explanation is simple. Donald Tusk's government has just agreed to the introduction of the Migration Pact. Its effect is the possibility of forcing Poland to accept thousands of illegal migrants or to pay fines for not complying. According to the Left Party, Poland is in a privileged position because it is taking in refugees from Ukraine and will not be subjected to the asylum procedure, which means we have nothing to worry about. As a border state, we will benefit from such solidarity pacts. The pact consists of 5 EU legal acts and covers the collection of biometric data, procedures for submitting and examining asylum applications, how to deal with crisis situations, rules for determining which member state is responsible for examining an asylum application, and cooperation and relocation between member states. The new asylum policy aims to rebalance the current system in which a few member states are responsible for the majority of asylum applications. In August this year, it was reported that around 100,000 migrants arrive in Italy by sea. The fine for a rejected migrant can reach 20,000 euros. On his first foreign visit, the new foreign minister visited the Ukrainian capital Kiev and told his Ukrainian counterpart that Warsaw will continue to actively support Ukraine in its war against Russia. Radosław Sikorski met Kuleba in Kiev during his first foreign visit since taking office. At a joint press conference, Sikorski said the tracker protests are about to be solved. Greeting me at the meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, President Ukraine said he wanted us to open a new chapter, and of course, a new government is taking a new chapter that we look at old problems with new eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a long meeting with my Ukrainian counterpart, Minister Derkacz, to discuss a matter that has been the focus of our agendas for several days, since December 13, when we were sworn in. Today we are agreeing the last details that will lead to the final agreement. I hope that after today's meeting, before Christmas, there will be a meeting between Minister of Infrastructure Klimczak and the protest committee at the border. We hope that for Christmas, before the end of this year, the problem will be solved.
As regards Ukraine's struggle for freedom, this is not an issue of compromises. This is an issue of what we can all do together to make enough military equipment and enough ammunition to send Putin back to where he belongs, which is in Russia. We will find ways for Polish and Ukrainian defense sector companies to do much more than today to increase military production, which is badly needed by the heroic Ukrainian soldiers at the front line.
Yes, sir. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for receiving me. You are the personal hero of my family.
Oh, no, I'm not a person. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
The chief of the East Department.
Good to see you.
Up to 2,000 underprivileged Berliners attended the traditional Christmas dinner of goose leg for the needy and homeless. The event, organized annually by 81-year-old singer and actor Frank Zander, was this year hosted by his son Markus, as Zander, who who was recently released from the hospital, was still recovering. A staple for the homeless and needy of the city, many of the guests passed on their well wishes to Zander, who joined briefly by video link to raise a glass and wish everyone a happy Christmas. Zander has been organizing the event since 1995, and this was a much-needed return to tradition, as the event has been cancelled through the coronavirus and was back for the first time since. I wish you all a happy Christmas holiday. I have to look after myself a bit, but everything will be well, and that is why I raise a toast to you, not with champagne or sparkling wine, but with a nice beer. Cheers! Well-known left-wing politician Gregor Gysi was also on site, serving up hearty plates. On the one hand, it is a signal to people that there are still a lot of poor people in Germany, and on the other, you are able to make the needy happy by serving them, and not the other way around. And at the same time, I want it to be an advertisement for an idea that something like this shouldn't even have to be necessary, but I probably won't get to see that happen in my lifetime. Guests were brought to the large convention hall at a hotel in the city's Neukölln district by Berlin buses, hired especially for the event, which serves the traditional goose leg and red cabbage. The celebration, which was a little smaller than usual this year, takes place with the support of friends, sponsors, and volunteers.